Yeah. There we go. Too quiet, man. You guys are scaring me. What's going on?
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. Thought process today about practice and why you had a light practice today.
Is that me? Is that my mic? Maybe somebody else's. Yeah, biggest thing, looking at the numbers from the game, and anytime you play 70 minutes of kick-ass football and back and forth and running and stuff like that, I think we have a responsibility to kind of trust the numbers and see what they say. And I told the guys from day one, if they go all out for us, we'll take care of them. So today was that type of day. We still got all the reps that we needed. Did not lose a single rep. We just did it more of a walk-through tempo to help them get their bodies back a little bit, like how you would kind of a short week, because it was a long game and a physical game. And but tomorrow we'll be back to running.
Tomorrow, will you be in pads or I know it's
We'll be in shells. Yeah, we'll be in shells. Yep.
One more. How do you do the delicate balance? Because you guys put a lot of zone in the first 2 weeks of the season, and your corners might be more comfortable in man. How do you draw that balance and say, our guys are better in man in some situations, but this is what Flus does?
Yeah, no, it's not what Flus does. I mean, we want to be multiple. We're going to be multiple, and we're going to do different things. And we play man, and we play zone. And if there's one thing you could look at for us is, we were good at both at times, and we were poor at both at times. And again, the word I use, consistency. We just weren't very consistent. And but we have plenty of calls where we can get in guys' faces and things like that. But the multiplicity that we want to have, that a Matt Eberflus's defense wants to have, I think is really important.
Still deal with us Cowboys. Speaking on the secondary, can you talk about the communication breakdowns, and can that be fixed in 1 week? I mean, or that 2 or 3 weeks, guys get more comfortable in with doing their job, because it's about doing your job, right?
Yeah, for sure. No, the answer is yes. I think it can get fixed. Now we need to do that, and we need to put that on film. And this team, Chicago, will do a good job challenging us with their formations and the things that they do. They do a really good job, Clarence, with their personnel groupings. And 13 personnel plays like 11, and 12 personnel plays like 21, and they do a good job of that. But the answer is absolutely yes. The communication comes from Flus to the green dot. Green dot communicates to everybody. But where we got to be better is when the formation changes, and our rules have to change. Therefore, we have to share the information. And again, I thought it was a great challenge for us because our fans were loud last game. But I expect it to be much better this week.
Is it communicated? Is there a quarterback in the secondary, or who's communicate the calls, and whose job is it?
It's everybody's. The nickel does a lot. So the nickel does a lot. I thought, again, Reddy Stewart did a great job with that. Both safeties do a lot. Both Dono and Malik do a lot. But it starts with the linebackers, and both K9 and Jack are great with it. But, again, when you're an offensive mind and you see the multiple looks that you have a choice to make, because Chicago's that way defensively. I can play stagnant, or I can try to challenge them, and most times you try to challenge them. And New York did a nice job of challenging us, and like I said, I expect the communication will be much better this week. It needs to be for us to play the style of defense we want to play.
It's my understanding that players were called out in team meetings. For not doing their job, can you talk about the culture of accountability that, I can call these, we can call these guys out, and that's being done?
Yeah, it's always going to be done. It should be done in any building, in my opinion. I call myself out. I hold myself accountable when I screw things up. At the end of the first half, I didn't do a good job communicating to Dak the situation that we were in, so he throws a ball that gets completed in bounds. Is that Dak's fault? Nope, it's mine. And I took accountability for that, told the guys that. So we're going to hold each other accountable. Me holding the players accountable, a coach holding another coach accountable, equipment staff holding the player accountable. And if guys don't like it, they're probably in the wrong building, because that's the way we're going to do things, because that's the right way to do things, in my opinion.
Brian Schottenheimer with ESPN. The way that Dak has started the season has got a lot of people saying, wow, he's playing great. In your mind, is he doing anything that he hadn't already done before, or have you seen a different level that he's played here at these first two?
No, I think he's playing how we would expect him to play. We have a high standard for Dak and the way he's supposed to perform. I think I used the word the other day. You guys asked me about him, and I think there's a confidence about him right now, which is great. But We have him. We have a pretty lofty standard for him, and he's playing really well right now. But it's not just him. It's the line blocking for him, keeping the pass rush away, and the guys making plays for him, and that's a big part of it. This is the ultimate. I say it all the time. I'm gonna say it again, the ultimate team game, and coaches and quarterbacks and other people, kickers, they get more credit or more blame when things don't work. Or they do work, and at the end of the day, this is the ultimate team game. And we were not very good on defense last week as a team, and we didn't start the game very well offensively as a team. And so I think that's where I would say Dak's playing well because he's surrounded by a good team.
With it only being 2 games in, do you go back and look at last year's games against New Orleans, last year's games against Detroit to kind of get any more information off?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, computers now, Todd, make it so easy that you can have you guys probably have breakdowns. You guys probably have our breakdowns. PFF, I mean, Chris Collinsworth and PFF, I mean, they've made it to where everybody, I think my niece watches PFF and can get access to the all 22. Hell of a job, Ted. I don't even want it now. But, we will. I mean, Dennis Allen's a hell of a coach, man. And, again, what he does and the way he's multiple and things like that, you have to go back because there's not enough information on the Cowboys because most people in preseason play with their 7-iron. And I think that they did. Maybe they were a 5-iron in the preseason, but you got to go back and look at it because he's going to draw on things that they did against us last year. They're going to double CeeDee Lamb. Okay, I'll put that out there right now. I know they will. DA's probably listening. That's cool. They doubled him last year. They're going to double him this year. So you have to go back and look at those things and look for trends. But I can't say it enough. DA's a hell of a coach, and it's going to be a hell of a challenge for us.
Isn't everybody double CD?
They try.
John Machota with The Athletic. Tom Brady is calling your guys' game this week. He's obviously part of the ownership group with the Raiders. The other night he was up in the coach's box. You guys play the Raiders later in the year. How is that going to impact any pre-production type meetings that you have this week?
Yeah, I'm not even going to talk to Tom. No, hey, look, everybody has everybody's playbooks. Everybody knows somebody that's been someplace. I don't have a problem with it. Some people might, but look, I'll talk to football with anybody. I love the game, and what Tom does with his ownership position is up to Tom. But in terms of me being concerned about something I might say to Tom, getting back to Pete or getting back to them, I think Pete and I know each other pretty well.
And then with Brandon Aubrey on game days, do you talk to him very much? Do you kind of just leave him alone? What's kind of your game day interaction with him?
Yeah, I don't talk to him too much. I talk to him usually before the game about hey, which way would we like to kick off and things like that. As we get into some of these afternoon games, we'll be dealing with the sun, which is always a fun thing around here, as you guys know. But he did just get slimed. I don't know if you guys saw that. Nickelodeon was here, so that was pretty cool that he got slimed. He's probably still in the shower. But no, I kind of let Brandon go, and what an awesome young man.
Nick Harris, Forward Star Telegram. The cameras in the locker room after the game caught you doing a celebration with the guys, I guess calling out big plays and big moments. Where did that stem from, or is that something you kind of thought up over the offseason?
No, it's something that Pete did. He did a version of that. Got to have fun, man. I was after action report, the music was not loud enough. We didn't even have the music going. So we got to the bottom of that because there'll be music blaring. You guys will hear it outside. But, man, I mean, pro football, you win a game, let's celebrate, man. And the guys loved it. They should love it. And it's, something that I believe is why you work so hard, why you stay up so late, why you put your body at risk is to enjoy those moments. I'll say it again, the highs of winning can't compete with the lows of losing because losing in this business is real and losing in this business is tough.
And then Ben Johnson obviously still figuring out early on his tenure in Chicago. What can you appreciate about him as a play caller?
Well, again, I think we're all still trying to figure it out. I don't think that's fair just to say that, Nick, about Ben, but I think, what a creative mind, what a great coach. I remember when he was with Miami, then the next thing you know, he's, coaching in Detroit, not even as a coordinator. Then the next thing you know, he is the coordinator and they take off. I think he's going to do a great job with that team. And Again, I laugh when people talk about we're playing the Bears and they're 0-2. I mean, this is a good football team, and they got talent. The quarterback's young. They got weapons on offense. They got a good running back. On defense, the defensive line is big and physical. Grady's a great player. Linebackers and safeties, Kevin Byard's a great player. So, the league's where it should be, and that's anybody can beat anybody on a given Sunday, and a lot of respect for Ben.
One more, if I could. The elements are obviously going to be a big part of any game in Chicago. If there's a light chance of rain, is there anything y'all do extra this week to prepare for that type of element in Soldier Field?
We always do a little bit of wet ball. I don't go overboard with it. Some coaches like, hey, it's got to be a wet ball period, things like that. We'll do a little bit during stretch. You guys have seen our guys when we're going through the stretch lines and doing some of the plyometric stuff and things like that. We'll throw them balls, and the skill guys will catch some wet balls. But playing in the elements is part of the deal. And I think you can overcoach it at times and make it too big of a deal. And then you kind of put it in guys' heads. You should go play. It's the same for both teams.
Tommy Yarsh, DallasCowboys.com knows just to walk through today, but what are you seeing from Jadeveon in terms of how he's digesting the playbook ahead of this week?
Yeah, I thought, I saw one error today where he was like, that's my bad. But more important than that is during one of the periods, I saw him coaching Isaiah Land. That was really, really cool. It was actually before we got kind of started. And that's what we talked about. You bring in a guy that's a veteran player like that, not just because of his ability to play and affect the run and affect the quarterback. He affects the locker room in a positive way with his experience. And, talking about simple pass rush techniques to a young player like Isaiah Land, I think is one of the other big benefits of having a veteran in here.
And then your quarterback guy, what stands out about Caleb Williams?
Athleticism, arm talent. He's played a lot of football now. I think the ability to improvise, the ability to extend plays is very obvious. He's got weapons all over the field with DJ Moore and Rome. But again, the athleticism and the arm talent are probably the first two things that just pop. You're like, okay, that's different.
Ed Porter, WFAA. Two questions. First is, what did you like about having Flus as your defensive coordinator, and how has he handled this coming off a bad game, having to make whatever adjustments are necessary?
Yeah, well, I love having Flus as a coordinator. I think he's, number one, a terrific football coach. He's an incredible man, strong Christian, just a good person. He and I have competed a lot, but I've loved getting to know his wife and his daughters, and so I think that's important. But in terms of this week, I mean, it's no different, He's put together a hell of a plan with his defensive staff. We're through mostly first, second, and third down. We'll finish up some more finalized third down tonight with them and jump into a little bit of the red zone and stuff. But I addressed it the other day. I think, what Matt won't do and what DA won't do and Andre won't do, and those guys won't make this about them. It's got nothing to do with them. We're not going to line up and play a single snap. It's our job to put together a hell of a plan that gives our players the best chance to perform well. And when we do that, then we'll probably play well and have a chance to win in the fourth quarter, like most games come down to. But he's been great. Flus is very much like this, and I think that's why he's so well respected around the league, because good, bad, or indifferent, he's going to be the same guy every day. And the guy up here talking to you is the same way. I'm going to always try to be the same person every day.
You say you won't make it about him, but is there a little personal significance for him this week, the Bears?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. He'll want to perform well, but he doesn't have to do anything special to do that. He can just do his normal deal. Guy's an elite football coach. He knows the personnel. That's great. Coach the guys. These meetings that we're getting ready to have now are really important, because when you lose reps, physical reps, the meeting time is more important. You have to make sure that they understand those things. And I think, again, he does an incredible job at making corrections. That's one of the things I love. Outside my office is the skillet, we call it, a little walk-through area, and they're out there all the time. It's called the skillet because it's so damn hot out there. It's like being in a sauna. But he's always out there with his guys making corrections, and I think, that's a great area, because a lot of these guys, that's how they learn, man. They learn doing, and you don't have to run around full speed all the time to do it.
Babe Loffmer, 105.3 The Fan and Cowboys Radio Network. Two-part question, if you don't mind. But the Bears have gone on long drives. First drive of the game, scored touchdowns. You talked about your need to start faster. Do you even mention that to your team, or are you cognizant of that, or you just we'll do our thing?
No, we mentioned it. Yeah, I mentioned it to him the other day that we got to start faster. You can't, defer and then have the defense out there for 18 plays. So it's important. There's no magic button that says, hey, we're going to start fast. You talk about it. You really emphasize the openers. You open it. You emphasize your third down calls on defense. You emphasize the special team stuff, and but there's no real magic way to do that. So you don't over talk about it. But we do have to start faster.
And then you may be falling on the sword play before the half, but does Dak have the ability to go to each side there? I know you motioned Ferguson across and then Godman flat. Can he go either way?
Man, I'm not going to give you the answer to that question, just because it's a game management thing. But no, I'm being honest. If Dak messed up, I'd tell you Dak messed up. But I totally, that was me. I did not communicate well enough to him, and Dak doesn't make those mistakes. And I think we've proven that we're pretty damn good in game management. Feeder does a great job, getting down into position for the go-ahead kick. Had the one against Philadelphia, but that one was all on me, just not communicating and having him hear the word that puts him into that mindset. So totally on me.
Garrett.
Garrett Podell, CBS Sports. Brian, guys obviously change teams every year, but how valuable is Flus's intel on having coached the Bears the last few years to preparing this week?
Well, he knows the players. We brought him in and had him talk to the offensive staff about the players. He has great respect for a lot of those guys that were there. But again, they're always adjusting. This is a different defense. It's a different philosophy. It's, run a different way. But, I haven't played against, Grady in a couple of years. I haven't played Montez Sweat since he was at Washington. So the knowledge of those guys and some of the things that they do and their strengths and weaknesses, which most of them have more strengths and weaknesses, it's good to know that information. It helps.
Joe.
Joe Hoyt, Dallas Morning News. Kicking can be such a mental game. Brandon Aubrey, teammates have called him unflappable. One, do you agree with that kind of sentiment? And two, what could that do in terms of the long-term stability of a kicker in his career moving forward?
Yeah, I think, he's just confident, man, and that's what you want. We've talked a lot about it, but it's worth continuing to say, it's the operation is not just him. It's the three amigos, I guess you will. With Trent snapping and Banger holding, but whether you want to call it confident, unflappable, whatever it is, I mean, he goes out there and expects to make every kick, and he should, because he's that talented.
I don't believe you and Eberflus crossed paths on the same team until this.
Me and Matt?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, just competed.
Yeah, so what did you, in terms of when you were interviewing him and getting to know him, what did you want to learn, after the Chicago experience? What were you trying to find out about Matt Eberflus?
Well, first, more about the man. Again, like I said, I wanted to find out about his wife and, his daughters. And one of them's married. One of them spent training camp with us. And but the football philosophy is what matters. Because, again, hey, look, I can't be in every defensive meeting. I have to be in the offensive meetings and be ready to call the game. And so I get in there as much as I can. I'll watch the film with those guys when I can. But the philosophy just made sense. I'm a multiple guy on offense. He's a multiple guy on defense. I'm a guy that wants to use your personnel. I'm a guy that wants to use your personnel. I'm a guy that believes in taking care of the ball. He wants to take away the football. Just when we continued our conversations hour upon hour upon hour, it was very clear that the two of us see football the same way. I was a KU guy for a year. He's a Missouri guy. So that was kind of a cool little tie-in. But no, I mean, the guy is an incredible man and an incredible football coach that we're lucky to have.
Sydney.
Coach Sydney Staples, D210 Sports. Although it's a different Bears team and it's a different coaching staff, do you go to a player like Kenny Clark and Coach Eberflus and ask them for their overall knowledge on the franchise in general?
Flus, you do, just because, I think, I'm a little bit different. Like, I don't bring the players into it as much. I just think you got to let the players be players. Coaches, this is what we do. And a lot of times we do it over a cup of coffee while we're waiting, for scripts to get printed or something like that. But I have not talked to Kenny about his knowledge of Chicago. He obviously knows them very, very well. He actually did beat Tyler Smith. So today's Competition Wednesday. You guys didn't know, but competition Wednesday. And since we didn't have a competitive period in practice, we had to declare a winner by a free throw shooting competition. And in a stunning upset, Kenny Clark beat Tyler Smith in overtime, 3-2. So, but I didn't talk to Kenny about it. I just feel like, do I need to ask Dak about certain things? No, let Dak play quarterback. Do I need to ask CD? Do I need to ask Kenny? No, it doesn't mean I wouldn't, but I don't feel like you have to put those guys in those positions. But I'm also very willing to listen to players with suggestions. So if Kenny came up to me, I would stop what I'm doing and listening. There was a practice late in training camp where CD came up to me about something, a route adjustment that he saw. We went right to it, and he scored a touchdown. So under no circumstance am I saying I can't gather a lot of information from players. I just don't believe you put them into a position where you make them have to feel like they're giving you information, because some players don't want to talk about their former teams and their knowledge of other people.
Have players come up to you, in any case, I know we're so many weeks into the season, but to tell you, hey, we know this about this team, et cetera, or not so much quite yet?
Yeah, I think in passing, nothing crazy, but yeah, I think in passing. And again, like I said, I'm all ears. If they want to come to me, I'm all ears. I just don't want to make them come in on a Tuesday and, hey, let's talk about X, Y, Z.
Okay, got to run.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.